Hello and welcome back to the 2023 Pass Me Fast Ultimate Karting Championship. In our first programme we brought you the super finals from our opening 3 classes, and in this programme we're going to continue with the super finals in Micromax, Minimax and Senior Rotax. And the setting here at Larkhall really did prove to be the perfect backdrop for what was the very best in karting. Close racing, high speeds and plenty of overtakes.
Jacob Jack senses that he might be able to steal second place away from Ollie Thompson, and he's there on the inside of the final lap. The outside dives for the inside line, and they drift off the road. Ashcroft is going to get the win, but who's going to get second? Ashcroft takes the victory. It's going to be close, and it will be Wolfit. And Jack Hobson will take the victory here at Larkhall in dominant fashion.
Well, great racing in our opening 3 classes there, and we continue now with the Micromax Super Final. At round 1, it was Colby Patterson who took the win. A dramatic final couple of laps saw him overtake Jensen Chalk, who'd started on pole, and Emerson McAndrew. Both of those drivers had got so involved with duelling with each other that they left the door open for Patterson to take the win with only a couple of corners to go. Well, Colby Patterson's not here this weekend, so could it be Chalk or McAndrew's weekend?
Hi, my name's Jensen Chalk and I'm racing in Micromax with the O plate. In the super final at Wilton Mill, I started in pole and I got quite a good start and dropped back to second. While me and Emerson were battling, Colby managed to just get past and snatch the win. Yeah, it was quite annoying, and luckily we're still second in the championship and we're hoping to fight on. The last time I was at Larkhall was like 5 years ago. It's been a very long time, so we're just trying to get used to the circuit now. My hope for this weekend is to get very good points for the championship.
Hi, I'm Emerson. I'm 133 and I race in Micromax. So the super final was quite interesting. Started 7th, where in 2 laps I'd already made up to first, and then I just had to pull away. We just try and make a gap. One of the things which was going through my head is just focus and keep pushing. So in practice at Larkhall, first session, I didn't really know the track, so I had to try and get used to it, but after I got used to it, yeah, I was quite fast. There's probably a lot to learn in the corners especially. So my dad's mechanicking, and then Sam was going through the data and helping me learn the track a bit more, and like telling me you need to hit this corner at this time and that. I'm hoping for the top step, but top 3 would be great.
So good luck to both Jensen and Emerson in this one then. Our first of the programme, let's go and join your race commentator, Jake Sanson.
And it is starting to rain again here, just as it has been all day long. It's been intermittent with the weather, and this time we go racing up to the first corner, and it's a good start for the race leader, Ed Haynes. No problem at all as he mixes his way through up for the first couple of corners, and a couple of drivers going off the road. That's the number 70 taken to the grass. That's Drew Davidson. He manages to recover, but Kian Bernard is up to second place already, having got past Oliver Spencer, and now he's immediately making the move on Ed Haynes. And as he comes off the turn, he's going to go wheel to wheel with Ed Haynes for the lead. Bernard and Haynes battling away for the victory. And Kian Bernard goes through. He takes the lead of the race on the opening lap here at Larkhall. In the Micromax final, whoops, Spencer drifts a little wide, manages to catch the cart, but not before he gets overtaken by the 22 of Riley Murrow, but he manages to get him back again. Spencer back in a 3rd position on the uptake, and there's a cart spinning on the way to the hairpin, and that is the 18. I'm afraid a big disappointment there for Lewis Cacaldi, who has got going again. 3 wide off the hairpin. Goodness me, Otis Cleary trying to fend off from Austin Oman, I think that is. And another spin off the hairpin as Riley Murrow trying to get back in on terms with the 42 of Oliver Spencer. Everybody trying to tuck their way through on the opening lap, diving around the inside line. That is the 22. Oh, and Haynes goes off the road. Ed Haynes actually drifted off the road. But there's going to be a couple of overtaking bids here, I'm sure. There goes Jensen Chalk making his bid up the inside of Theo Bradshaw. Job done. Nicely handled. But Riley Murrow still holding a strong 3rd position. Here comes the move from Austin Oman, diving in on the inside of McAndrew. Nice overtake, but watch out, boys. You've got Jensen Chalk on your 6, and he is going to try and charge after both of you. McAndrew comes back at Oman, diving up the inside. There's still enough of a gap for Jensen Chalk, and he knows it. He's got to leave Austin Oman a bit of room, though. So Austin Oman is going to cover it on the inside and then go for McAndrew as well. but Jensen Chalk will get the switcheroo, and he gets back alongside Austin Oman. He'll have the right-hander next time. He doesn't want to give best, and he doesn't. He gets the place. Nicely done by Jensen Chalk. It'll be an interesting charge forward. Up the inside comes Jensen Chalk, dives through. A little bit of a nudge there on the back of Austin Oman from Theo Bradshaw. He's trying to shake off Harry Taylor now. Dueling in the background, you've got Jensen Chalk, I think up to 5th position. He's worked his way forward, and now it's going to be Oman on the inside of McAndrew, and also Bradshaw. Not a lot of space to play with. McAndrew has to give best. So Emerson McAndrew now trying to get himself back into position as Jensen Chalk has climbed all the way to the dizzying heights of 5th. This is a great recovery drive from the O-plate. Jensen Chalk has gone from 12th to 5th, and it's a really exciting run through. So now Riley Murrow trying again on Ollie Spencer in the hope that he can make his way forward. But this is going to be a really intense run for Jensen Chalk. He's still got Austin Oman all over the back of him. There goes McAndrew. Emerson McAndrew gets the run on Theo Bradshaw and takes the place in the final turn. So that moves him up into 7th place ahead of Bradshaw, Taylor and Ludiyi. Then Singh Bahal, Lush, Cleary, Cormac, Goodson and Drew Davidson. As Jensen Chalk continues to fight through in 5th position. A resurgent battle from Jensen Chalk. He's really got himself back together again after his earlier disappointment. But he really wants to catch up to the 2 drivers up front, that's for sure. So Spencer and Murrow, 3rd and 4th. Then Jensen Chalk in 5th from Oman, McAndrew, Bradshaw, Taylor, Ludiyi and Sebastian Lush ahead of Dian Singh Bahal. 4.5 minutes on the clock. And Kian Bernard is now 2.5 seconds clear of Edward Haynes. This is very much looking like Kian Bernard's final to lose. A very solid race from him now. But watch this duel continue to squabble away. Theo Bradshaw trying to pick one up on Emerson McAndrew. McAndrew goes long into the left, tight in the right. Is there a gap? No, there isn't. Not with Emerson McAndrew on the case. They get back on the throttle again. Spencer and Murrow, 3rd and 4th. Chalk and Oman, 5th and 6th. But watch around the outside as Theo Bradshaw is going to have to make his bid there. McAndrew will come back on the switcheroo. They run side by side. They almost rub wheels. And this time they do rub wheels. Once, twice, 3 times. And Bradshaw gets through. McAndrew will try again. That got very close for comfort. But rubbing's racing, as they say. Here's the move from McAndrew. Dives on the inside, and he's going to leave the door wide open for his teammate as Harry Taylor will get through as well. No, he won't. Bradshaw holds the position. So McAndrew stays 7th in front of Bradshaw, then Taylor, then Ludiyi. And with 3.5 now to go, it's still stalemate in the battle for 7th place between these 4 brilliant young racers. Still they duel away here in the Pass Me Fast Ultimate Karting Championship final of the Micromax at round 2 at Larkhall. So still they contest this fabulous battle. 2.7 seconds behind Kian Bernard. Then Spencer and Murrow. Then 2 seconds back at Chalk and Oman. You just saw them go through your picture. Then it's McAndrew, Bradshaw, Taylor, Ludiyi. Lush is in 11th place, Singh Bahal in 12th, and then it's Cleary from Cormac, Davidson, Goodson, Gallagher, Radcliffe, Sims and Kakoldi with Dax Farah 11 seconds back. But everybody's still circulating in this epic Micromax final. A bit of a run wide there from McAndrew. Is he going to lose the position as a result? Yes, he does. Bradshaw comes through. So McAndrew fights back into the right-hander. Taylor goes with him. And this time, Taylor is really going to struggle to hold him off. And again, Bradshaw is determined that Taylor is not going to get the overtake. So McAndrew saves the position. He runs very deep into the hairpin and uses plenty of curb on the exit. But it looks as though the rain has stayed consistent, although it's not heavy in the slightest. Up to the hairpin again. They go through the square left and then into that long flowing hairpin out of the turn. Harry Taylor trying his best to get one over on Bradshaw. Bradshaw's got a faster run off the corner, and that's going to be a tough one for McAndrew to fend off. Emerson McAndrew still holding fast, trying to make sure he doesn't lose the position, but as they come through to the right-hander, Bradshaw might just have the room here as Jensen Chalk continues in front of Austin Oman for 5th position, but they can't quite get close enough to Ollie Spencer and Riley Murrow for the liking of Jensen Chalk. And still they duel, no difference in the positions. Harry Taylor tries again, can't get through on the 44 of Theo Bradshaw. The closing stages of this race are now upon us as Theo Bradshaw still shakes off the attentions of Harry Taylor. Not a big difference between them in terms of one lap pace, that's for sure. So still they duel. It's going to be a very interesting situation for all of the contenders. Cian Bernard, 4 seconds clear now of Edward Haynes. This is going to be a tight one all the way to the line. And there's a bit of a tussle going on still as we watch the leader, Cian Bernard, having a smooth and solid run out in the lead here. This is a perfect run for Cian Bernard. He did a great job in the superheat this morning, and here he is in the final, just looking so smooth, so calm and composed. So Cian Bernard is your leader. Look back, there is going to be Ed Haynes in second. Well, I hope there's going to be Ed Haynes in second, because Cian Bernard is... Wait a minute, what's happened to Ed Haynes? I think Ed Haynes has dropped back a little bit. So Ollie Spencer and Riley Morrow, I think, have come through into second and third places. I think Ed Haynes has had an issue somewhere, which has cost him second place. Indeed, it has. So Spencer and Morrow is up to second and third. Oh, and there's 2 carts spinning off at the hairpin there at the end of the lap. So 2 carts recovering there in position. That was Radcliffe battling away with Soren Gallagher, I think. So those 2 have dropped back. So Radcliffe and Gallagher recovering. No, it was Radcliffe and Kakoldi. I do apologise. But Ed Haynes has dropped to 5th position now behind the O-plate of Jensen Chalk, as Spencer and Morrow are now second and third. Haynes has fallen into the clutches of Austin Oman. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Ed Haynes there, but he has suddenly slipped from second place to 5th position. And that's very unfortunate in the final dying moments of this race. But Jensen Chalk has inherited 4th position as well. And now Spencer and Morrow are dueling for 2nd position, as on to the last lap will go Cian Bernard. He begins the final lap now. Spencer and Morrow having a great duel for 2nd position still. Morrow thinks he's got a shot here on Ollie Spencer, and to be fair to him, he certainly does. But what can he do on the final lap? He's got to get a little bit closer to Spencer. He's got to be a little bit brave as well, because Spencer is not going to be an easy driver to overtake. But Riley Morrow, who has come up from the world of Bambinos, works his way forward into Micromax. He's got a shot here on Ollie Spencer. They come off the hairpin and down the back straight again. This is where things could get very spicy. Cian Bernard has got the win on a silver plate up front. 9 seconds clear of Spencer and Morrow. And Jensen Chalk in the background might just steal something spectacular here. But the checkered flag is going to come the way of the 33 of Cian Bernard. He is now coming into the final couple of corners of the race. You'll see him in the background. There he goes. Cian Bernard having an excellent race to the line. And it is going to be the 33, Cian Bernard, that will come through. Cian Bernard gets the victory in the final here at Larkhall. A very happy chappie.
Really well done. Great racing from you. When you got out in front there, you just had so much daylight between you and the rest of the field. Just tell us how it played out up front for you.
I mean, I just tried to keep on track. I mean, I saw that I pulled a gap, so I just tried my best to stay calm, not make any mistakes, and improve every lap, keep consistent. That's what I did, and I won.
You did all of that, and the smile says it all, and you won, because that's what it's all about. Well done. In that superheat, the battle was between yourself and Edward Haynes, but he didn't feature this time. A lot of pressure in that superheat, but none in the super final?
Yeah, well, I guess so. I pulled away, so...
Mr. Spencer, great to see you. You got a wry smile on your face there. You should be happy with second place, but are you not?
Yeah, we finished second on the last round at Wilton, so it's still good. We're still going to be leading the championship, so there's no downside, still good.
Exactly, mate. There's lots to be happy about. You got yourself up to second place on lap 11. It was Edward Haynes that seemed to drop down. He'd been running in second for ages, and then he dropped down to about 5th or 6th. So getting that overtake move done in the late closing stages was really important for you.
Yeah, it's good. Haynes drops off the track, so yeah.
Great to see you. You've had a really good weekend. Your superheat went well, and then your super final went well, finishing up in 3rd.
Well, I spun out in every single heat yesterday, so I was just hoping to get the best super heat to qualify well for the final, and just from there try and go forwards.
That's exactly what you did. I was commentating your superheat alongside Jake Sanson, and he gave you special mention because you did so well in that superheat. And in that superheat, that's all you did. You just kept on going forwards. You obviously were linking it all up today. You were enjoying the conditions.
Yeah, I prefer the wet to the dry. So that was a bit of good, and the super heat I had a bit of luck too. So it just help me.
The Minimax final built the excitement the longer the race went on at round one, and in the end it was Lucas Blanford who took the win from Dan Kilpatrick in second. Kilpatrick had started on pole and probably felt like the win could have been his. So earlier on I caught up with him to see how he's feeling ahead of this weekend, whether he's focused and ready for another battle at the front of the Minimax grid.
Hi, I'm Dan Kilpatrick. I'm number 20 and I race in Dan Holland. In the super final at Mill, it was a very tough race with Lucas chasing me down, and he started from the back but eventually caught me up in the end, and he did very well, to be fair, and he worked together with Charlie Berry and caught me up in the end. In the heats and in the super heat I felt very, very confident, and then in the final near the end I think my pace just dropped off a wee bit, but once I got overtaken I got in his toe, and then I thought I could get a go on him, but he defended me, and then he got the race in the end. Well, I've been here a couple of times, but I haven't been here in Minimax. But I did a club race here in Junior Max. I think I nearly had the longest straights and one of the slowest corners. So lots of taking opportunities nearly every corner. I think my aspirations would probably just be to get the win and defend it well, and just make sure I can defend off all the other drivers.
Well, best of luck to Dan and all of the Minimax drivers in this one. A slightly smaller grid, but nonetheless just as exciting. Let's go and join your race commentator, Jake Sanson.
As they come through off the final turn and getting up to speed again. This time are we going to go racing? We are, and we're in the racing positions now as the drivers work their way through, and round the outside Dan Hartley has broken through into the lead. A good start then from Dan Hartley, who leads the way here in front of the 59 of Lucas Blanford, but Dan Kilpatrick wants a piece of this now as well. It's going to be a very interesting challenge from here on out as Hartley has hit the front. It's a great start from the ex-Brit out in front of the ultimate driver. As round the far side comes Dan Kilpatrick to try and sweep around Lucas Blanford. He's going to try and carry the speed. Blanford will hold the inside line, but now they're going to have pressure from the 26 of Ewan House. House is going to try and break through. Kilpatrick with a late bid on Blanford. They're going to go side by side, and Blanford holds on a second for the time being. So a fabulous battle as here comes the move from Dan Kilpatrick. He will want to try and get his move done here up the inside. Kilpatrick tries it again on Blanford. Three drivers battling for the win here. Hartley, Blanford, Kilpatrick. Yet again, there may not be many karts on the grid in this class, but I tell you what, they are having a fantastic race of it. And we are having a great duel. As again, Dan Kilpatrick makes his bid to try and get through on the inside line of Lucas Blanford, and here he goes, and he's into second position. Great run from Dan Kilpatrick. He passes Lucas Blanford for P2. Up to the hairpin again. And this is where we're going to see a very interesting scenario now play out. Still they battle. Time to see if we are going to get one final hurrah here from Dan Kilpatrick to charge away from Lucas Blanford. Blanford struggling in third position. He hasn't had as strong a run today as he had yesterday. And Kilpatrick still swarming around behind Dan Hartley. So through they come again. And trying to make the bid through on the inside line. This is where things are going to get quite tricky for Hartley. Kilpatrick's got very close to him. Will he make the sting shot into the final hairpin? He does go for it, and Kilpatrick takes the lead. Oh, beautifully done by Dan Kilpatrick as he hits the front here in fantastic fashion. So Dan Kilpatrick looking very strong now as he leads Dan Hartley and Lucas Blanford in the battle for the final here in the Minimax in round two at Larkhall. And Lucas Blanford hops over the curbs in his bid to get through, and he's made it. Lucas Blanford rolls the dice, hops over the curb, gains ground on Dan Hartley, and storms into second place. Now this is game on for Lucas Blanford. That was such a bold overtake. And that is absolutely amazing from Lucas Blanford to just hop it over. Big risk, big calculations made there at speed, but it is going to be Lucas Blanford who is now in second. Now he's got plenty of time to catch up to Dan Kilpatrick in front, but with the spray now dissipating, rain is still coming down, but it's that fine rain that soaks you through, as they call it. So it's looking pretty neat, tidy now for the others. But certainly a very easy pickings race lead for Dan Kilpatrick at the moment. Blanford is a second back, and he needs to try and gain some time. But it's certainly gone according to plan for Kilpatrick off the start from Blanford, Hartley, House and Amy Peacock. So really solid run so far Leo Massey in 6th position, still very much in the hunt for this. It's not over yet. So still they duel for position. And the racers are giving us plenty of drama and suspense out there. So still they creep on through. You've got to tiptoe your way around these corners. You've really got to be very careful about the balance. It's got to be about delicacy. It's got to be about accuracy as well. So Kilpatrick, Blandford, Hartley, House, Peacock and Massey at the moment. But Kilpatrick certainly has the good measure of Lucas Blandford behind him at the moment. A gap between them is about a second. You don't want to push it too much more than that, because obviously if Blandford drops further back from Kilpatrick, then Kilpatrick really will be given license to run away with this victory, and he wants to try and catch him as much as possible. Dan Holland Racing versus Sodi Vitesse UK. Lando Norris Chassis versus Sodi Chassis. And Dan Kilpatrick versus Lucas Blandford for the victory in this final here at Larkhall. Still going strong for Dan Kilpatrick at the moment. It's definitely going to be a really intriguing run as the contenders finish off in style. But now we're going to see exactly what the contenders can give us through the final couple of moments of this race. 5 minutes plus the additional lap, and Blandford is chipping away a little at Kilpatrick. He is gaining ground little by little. This is certainly starting to come to him as the race battle continues in fine fashion here. Kilpatrick ahead of Blandford, Hartley, House, Peacock and Leo Massey. So a really strong effort as the drivers continue. But Blandford has got the gap still to make up, because he hasn't really chipped away at Dan Kilpatrick's advantage. Hartley is still there in 3rd from House, Peacock and Massey. So Blandford hopping over the curbs again, just trying to get close enough to Dan Kilpatrick to challenge for a position. Still not looking particularly easy to manage and maintain that. Blandford trying his best just to find a little bit of extra pace, just to find that time to really try to close up. But so far Kilpatrick ahead of Blandford and Hartley. House, Peacock, Massey. Not a massive change up between these drivers as the race battles have continued all the way throughout. But Kilpatrick is 1.1 down from Blandford. And Kilpatrick is 1.1 seconds ahead of Lucas Blandford, and there is the Scotsman. But Lucas Blandford can't seem to find that little bit of extra pace that's required to overhaul Kilpatrick at the moment. In fact, Kilpatrick is actually pulling away a little. So this is very good news indeed for Kilpatrick, who wants to really kickstart his title campaign with this battle, and is certainly looking very good on it at the moment. But it was always going to be a very tricky one for Kilpatrick to sustain in front of Blandford. Dan Hartley is staying with them though, he's not really dropping back any. There is the Ultimate R driver. This is a good recovery from Dan Hartley. Still running a very solid race, having moved across from the Kato Motorsport team to the Ultimate R squad. And still running a very solid race battle at the moment. But there is Dan Hartley doing a grand job in 3rd position, trying to stay with Lucas Blandford as much as possible. And it's very much stalemate between these three at the moment. And still the battle rages on up front for Kilpatrick, with Blandford and this man, Dan Hartley, all still in the mix for the victory. Ewan House is only 2 seconds back. And Amy Peacock and Leo Massey are still having a relatively good run of it, but Kilpatrick just trying to sustain this in front of Blandford. 1.1 seconds is still the gap between them. Not much has changed over the race, but they are trading sector times. Every time Blandford gains a little, Kilpatrick has to dig deep and find a response and try and even up the score a little. So this is really incredible racecraft from these two, because every time one gives something, the other has to take it back from them. Lucas Blandford was the fastest driver in the whole race in Sector 1 just that time by 20.95 compared to Dan Kilpatrick on a 21.13. But the fastest lap of the race has come from Dan Kilpatrick on a 1:01.324. So let's see if there is a little bit more pace in the kart as they continue to work their way through. And Blandford goes off the road. Blandford skates off the road. Has he got a problem? He manages to get the kart turned into the final hairpin, but Lucas Blandford definitely in some trouble there as he skates off the road and keeps it going, but the kart is looking out of sorts. Has Lucas Blanford got a problem? He skates off the road there at the chicane, but I don't know whether that was because of a driver error or whether that was because there's a problem developing with the Sodi. They come off the turn and back on the power. This is great news for Dan Kilpatrick. The win is looking on for him here as the rain continues to come down here in Scotland. But it's not heavy. It's certainly heavy enough to cause Dan Kilpatrick no end of joy out in the lead of the race right now. Really starting to drink in the moment here up in front. Lucas Blanford having a very sturdy race in second place, but despite that trip over the grass, he is still staying as hungry as possible. He works his way through in the S's, but having gone off the road briefly, Lucas Blanford is still in second place. 1.3 seconds deficit to Dan Kilpatrick in the lead, which is now opened up by half a second. I do wonder if Blanford's got a slow problem developing. So now the two contenders having a really solid battle of it, but Kilpatrick in front of Blanford and Hartley, and then House, Peacock and Leo Massey. So still they continue as down the straight they come up towards the right-hander. And it's a very solid race battle between these three. They're basically just trading lap times at the moment. There's no nail-biting drama in terms of wheel-to-wheel action, but certainly in terms of the pace they're setting. 3, 2, 1, that's time. So Dan Kilpatrick is now going to be going into the final lap next time. It's certainly looking very strong indeed for Dan Kilpatrick. Yesterday was all about Lucas Blanford, but Sunday looks like it's going to be all about Dan Kilpatrick. What a solid performance it was from him in the superheat earlier today. But now the championship fight is very much on song. Into the last lap we go, and Dan Kilpatrick looks like he's got this one in the bag. He just has to keep it going for the final few corners of the lap. Blanford hasn't given up. Blanford is still pushing as hard as he can to try and close up on the number 20 of Dan Kilpatrick. But it's certainly looking that way for the Dan Holland Racing driver on the Lando Norris chassis. He makes his way down the back straight, and it looks pretty neat and tidy for Dan Kilpatrick, as he is going to come through to retain a fabulous result today. Earlier on in the superheat, he got the victory. Now he is going to come through to get the victory done here in the final. And what a sensational charge through it has been for Dan Kilpatrick. He was disappointed after Wilton Mill. He said that could have been my race victory, and I'm devastated I didn't get a chance to seal it. Now he will seal it. Out of the final turn, Dan Kilpatrick wins at Larkhall. Absolutely textbook. A masterclass drive in front of Lucas Blanford and Dan Hartley from Ewan House, and then Amy Peacock and Leo Massey. But Dan Kilpatrick has driven beautifully in this one.
Really well done, Dan. You must be thrilled with that win. You wanted it last time and you've got it this time.
Yeah, it was very, very hard at the start. I didn't get the best of starts. The outside row actually got a better start, but then halfway through the race my tyres started to get a bit better, and I just picked my way through them and got the win in the end. Yeah,
we were down here at the bottom end when we saw you get the overtake on, it was Dan Hartley as well, who was leading for a lot of that race. When Dan was out in the front, did you think, you still had him in your sights?
I was a wee bit worried in case he's going to get away. He found a lot of pace at the end of the final, but I just got him. I had about 2 or 3 tenths on him.
And then you were just working hard to keep your adversary, Lucas Blanford, at bay. He was chasing you down, but I think you had it wrapped up, didn't you?
Yeah, I was still thinking in my head, he's going to catch me, he's going to catch me. But then at the final lap, I just thought, oh.
So Lucas, listen, really well done. Looked like Dan Hartley was going to, push away from yourself and Daniel on that one, but you and Daniel had other ideas, ultimately finishing in second. Your face doesn't look that happy, though.
No, obviously, yesterday was a good day, but, today just wasn't our day.
Tricky conditions this weekend in the wet. How have you found it with the Sodi kart team this weekend and on that Sodi kart?
Yeah, it's been all right, safe at least. I just want to say thanks to Brad for everything he's done for me today and, this weekend. So, yeah, it's been okay.
Well, it's a long season, and I'm sensing that the battle between yourself and Dan Kilpatrick is one that's going to play out really quite well from where we're standing from the sidelines. Looks to be an exciting prospect.
Yeah, definitely one to watch.
You had a taste of running at the front there in that race. We were thinking that you might take the win at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I thought I was actually going to win, but I came third. That's still good, though.
It's really good. Third is really, really good. Huge congratulations. You're on the podium. It was in the early stages where there was a number of laps where you were running at the front and Dan and Lucas were chasing you down. Did you realise what was going on behind you? You had clear road ahead of you.
I was just thinking that Lucas and everyone else was battling, so I could have won that.
Well, once again, we're finishing our programme with Senior Rotax, where at round one we were treated to one of the most exciting kart races that I think you're ever likely to see. In the finish, it was KR Sports' Sean Butcher who took the win in what was his first round back in the UKC after a successful European season in 2022. But the fairy tale ending was written by Sean's teammate Stephen Letts, who is himself a previous British champion, but hadn't been in a kart for about 4 years up till that point. Well, finishing on the podium certainly wasn't something he was expecting that weekend, but oh boy, did he enjoy it. Stephen, great to see you here this weekend. Just cast your mind back to that super final at Wilton Mill. Pulled yourself second out of the bag, maybe a result you weren't expecting. Is it kind of sunk in yet?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was in fifth. Obviously it was scrapping a bit at the front, and then somehow went to the corner fifth, came out first and was like, oh, there's a gap. But then, to be honest, what really held me back was the fitness. I just couldn't really hold on to it. I guess another podium would be good, but just really the points to get up there in the championship, because I'm still 8th at the moment, but I think 3 points wouldn't put me 5th, so as long as we get good points in the heats and yeah, just stay consistent.
Senior Rotax now then, and best of luck to Steve and the rest of the drivers in this one. It's going to be a belter. Here's your race commentator, Jake Sanson.
So now the drivers are gearing up ready for the start, and it's going to be a very intriguing one with Kai Hunter on the inside line, Sean Butcher on the outside line. Time for these two powerhouses of Senior Rotax to go racing. Are we racing? We are indeed. Through they go. Sean Butcher down to third position. Kai Hunter has hit the front, and Sean Butcher's desperately trying not to lose too many places, but off the road goes Sean Butcher, I think that is. So the man from the front row of the grid has lost several places. Up to second has come Phil Rawson. Up to third has come Tristan Rennie, the hometown hero. So already some big scalps for Sean Butcher, the man who took such a brilliant victory last time out at Wilton Mill. He and his teammate Stephen Letts have already got massive progress to make up. So as the field works its way through, whoops, couple of drivers getting onto the grass. I think that was Lucas Ellingham getting a little bit wide. But now the drivers are tiptoeing their way through the hairpin. Everybody trying to stay out of trouble. And onto the grass goes the 70 of John Knox. So John Knox having a nightmare opening lap. That's really not helped him out at all. And several karts are trying to go 2-3 wide off the hairpins in the hope that they can knit their way through. But this is the worst possible racing condition for a driver. It's not bone dry, it's not soaking wet. And they are going to have absolutely zero grip out there on these wet tyres, because although there are patches of water on the circuit, there's certainly not enough water to go through the treads of the tyre. So this is really going to be tricky as you watch Butcher and Letts. They're in front of the 75 of Pearson Bullock Carter. Out in front is Kai Hunter. Philip Rawson and Tristan Rennie ahead of James Lowther, who had that disastrous end to his previous race in the superheat, dropping to the back of the field. But now Lowther finds himself in fourth position. Battles as they go down to the braking zone. Drivers waiting for the chance to go through. I thought we saw one of the KR Sport drivers going off the road, but they just got out wide. Whoops. Several drivers drifting wide as they go through the hairpins. And this is all because of the lack of grip on the circuit right now. It's not dry, it's not wet. So the tyre choice is open, so what do? Do you go slicks or do you go wets? It's very tough to know which is the right way to go, because the slicks won't grip in the early stages but might grip at the end of the race, as we nearly see the 80 of Lambert go into the wall. But the wets won't grip either, and they'll certainly burn up in the first 4 or 5 laps because there's not enough water to go through the treads. So it'll be fascinating to see what the drivers have decided to go with and whether they can hold on for the entirety of the race. But there's not going to be a massive amount of grip from the tyres, even if they are wet. Oh, big moment there. As up on the inside, Jack Lilly died for the move, couldn't slow the car down and speared into the side pod of Pearson Bullock Carter. And now Lucas Ellingham is going to drift up the inside of Lorenzo Cordell. Jack Lilly is going to be the one to pick up the pieces on Cordell. And there's more contact. 2 karts locked together there. That is devastating for Stephen Napier and Zaki Hussein. The 2 karts are locked together. They managed to come apart, but both races are pretty much done with 11 minutes to go. Now up the inside, Cordell still trying to get past Lilly. Lilly is not happy with that at all. Lorenzo Cordell gets through, 10 minutes on the clock. So the battle for the title really kicking off now, because Kai Hunter looks like he's got a win on his pocket. And Butcher, the man who won last time out, finds himself in 6th position. So still they duel away. Butcher has now got past Lowther, up into 5th position, trying to chase after his teammate Stephen Letts. So Tristan Rennie still attacking Phil Rawson. Look at the sliding that these carts are giving us as they work their way through. Kai Hunter, still your leader, and sets a new fastest lap, but Lucas Ellingham goes quicker still. Stephen Letts, head down, trying to make his bid, ahead of Sean Butcher, James Lowther, and Lucas Ellingham. Ellingham has left Bullock Carter to battle with Lorenzo Cordell. Cordell on the inside, gets in at 8th place. Bullock Carter on the resurgence, manages to get through, and that's Ellingham diving in on Lowther. Still great overtakes everywhere you look, and now Cordell drifts off the road, so does Lilly. And as they both drift out a little wide, Bullock Carter might get up the inside of Lorenzo Cordell. He can't quite overtake Lilly, but he does get past Lorenzo Cordell. Great racing here at Larkhall, everywhere you look. Cordell having a look at Pearson Bullock Carter and dives in the hairpin, makes the overtake. Meanwhile, further back, there's a little bit of wheel banging going on as Scrivener goes toe-to-toe with Stephen Duncan. Duncan's going to have the inside line, ties it up in the exit. He needs to tidy it up on the exit a little bit cleaner than that, as drifting off the road nearly further back. That looked to me like Oakley Pryor, just getting a little bit sideways. So Kai Hunter, 2.8 seconds ahead of Phil Rawson and Tristan Rennie, who are still dueling over 2nd place. A little bit of a look up the inside there, as the 36 of Oakley Pryor is trying to pick off some drivers and make some overtaking prowess. There's Lowther in 7th place ahead of Jack Lilly, then Cordell, Bullock Carter, Pritchard, Duncan and Scrivener. Several great talents in this race, still trying to make up some moves. It looks as though Sean Butcher has got past Stephen Letts. What's happened to Letts? Letts has not come through. Where is Stephen Letts? The 259 has not come across the line. So I think Stephen Letts, or he has come across the line, but he's down to 16th. So Stephen Letts has lost a massive amount of time and a huge quantity of places. There is Stephen Letts, I think, behind the 23 of George Hunter and also behind Oliver Duffel. If we look back, we'll see Stephen Letts trying to get away from Oakley Pryor. Lots of drivers skating around the course, and this is what we're talking about. Not a lot of standing water on the circuit means that you are wrestling with baking hot tyres that cannot get cool. They cannot get down to temperature. And because there's no water going through the treads, you're essentially driving on ice skates the whole way round. So Hunter, 3.4 seconds now in front of Tristan Rennie, with Rawson in 3rd from Ellingham, Butcher, Lowther, Lilly, Cordell, Bullock Carter and Stephen Duncan, as we watch Scott Mackerel. And there is Stephen Letts going wheel to wheel with Oliver Duffel, and Letts is going to get back through to get into 15th place. Very unfortunate for Stephen Letts. He made the podium last time. He was looking good for a top 5 this time, but now he has plummeted all the way to 15th. Determination from the senior Rotax brigade, but look, there's no spray coming off the carts at all. Whoops! As off the road goes one of the Coles racing carts. Now that didn't go very well at all. I think that might have been Oakley Pryor drifting off the road there. I could be wrong. Thomas Wood still dueling away as the drivers are squabbling away for position. But coming down to the braking zone, Cordell is all over the back of Pearson Bullock Carter, trying to get past the Jax Motorsport driver, number 75, who is driving a very valiant race here in 8th position. Lorenzo Cordell running in 9th and Stephen Duncan running in 10th. There's Pearson Bullock Carter, very close there, indeed there, to running off the road and bidding it into the barriers. So Pearson Bullock Carter just giving it one final push to get away from Lorenzo Cordell as they run through on the far side. And you can see there that Charlie Pritchard is all over the back of Stephen Duncan, trying to get through. Letts ahead of Pryor, Duffel, Wood and Lambert. Whoa! That was Lambert just chopping across on John Knox, I think, as they were dueling away for position. But out in front, it is still Kai Hunter lapping fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap, having a really solid race of it. There's Ellingham, there is Sean Butcher, the championship leader, and then there is the 74 of Lowther, who now has pressure from Jack Lilly. So Lowther trying to hold on in front of Lilly. Lilly's got a good run though. James Lowther has got to be very patient, holding on to 6th position here. And there's the move from Lilly. Dives in on Lowther. Not a lot that James Lowther can do about it. Jack Lilly has caught and passed him. And that is the move for P6. Lowther can try again, but I think the tyres are really starting to go off. This all comes down essentially now to tyre pressures. But it has started raining again. I can see that the rain has started to come down again. The problem is, now you've got wet tyres that have been out there for a heck of a long time with no water running through the treads. They're almost burned off. And now it's started raining again. So effectively, you're running on slicks now. So Kai Hunter, 5.2 seconds clear of Rennie and Rawson. Heading him in fourth from Butcher and Lilly. There is Lilly ahead of James Lowther. So James Lowther is going to try again. He tries a late bid on the inside of Jack Lilly and gets the overtake. Lovely job from James Lowther. Read the situation at the very last minute. He skates off the road. James Lowther skates off the road. Now that's going to be down to the lack of grip in these final couple of corners with the rain coming back. Lowther manages to get back through on Jack Lilly. There's no grip at all in the circuit. And off the road again, we've got several drivers coming up. That's why they're on wet tyres, but they are burnt wets because they are super hot wet tyres. There's no tread in them left. And now we're on wet tyres. These are basically ice skates they're on now. Lilly trying to get back on the inside of Lowther. Lowther shutting the door. The rain is coming back heavily. But these wet tyres are not going to have any grip because they are almost burnt to intermediates. In some cases, they'll be burnt to slicks. The slippery flag is out on the circuit because there is absolutely no grip at all for any driver out there. Jack Lilly going wheel to wheel with James Lowther again. And still James Lowther hanging on by a thread in front of Jack Lilly with Bullock, Carter, Caudle and Stephen Duncan closing in. And off the road again goes James Lowther. This time Jack Lilly does get the overtake. There's absolutely no grip at all as we go into the final lap. And there's a warning gone out for contact for the 88 kart. That, I'm afraid, is a bit of a headache for Alex Moody. It was his birthday yesterday. He'll probably want to forget this race weekend, though. So, around the hairpin, Lowther tries again on Jack Lilly, but out in front it is going to be Kai Hunter, who tiptoes his way to the victory. There he is. And Kai Hunter has reignited the title battle in Senior Rotax in Pass Me Fast Ultimate Karting Championship 2023 with a very smooth drive indeed. He can barely keep the kart on the road, but it's been a superb run for the Dan Holland Racing Lando Norris. Kai Hunter reignites his title battle in 2023 with a perfect victory in front of Tristan Rennie and Philip Rawson.
Kai, fantastic stuff, mate. I think the key to this weekend, and certainly the key for you in that final there, was to stay out of trouble early, get ahead, and then just maintain it.
Yeah, that's all I did really. Had to defend the middle left because I think that's a prime overtaking place. So yeah, did that, got a little bit of a gap and then just went strength by strength. Got a lovely little gap. Track started to dry up so I could pull it even more. And yeah, just finished the meeting on a high really.
Yeah, finished the meeting on a high, completely different to this time a month ago at Wilton Mill when it was a totally different picture. So kind of vindication for you this weekend.
Yeah, could go back to Wilton and say I should have or could have, but yeah, I can't really say that. Things happen, and I'm just glad I bounced back and on the top stop again.
Yeah, top stop again. It's where we like to see you. Next round then is at Warden Law, so now things are looking good for you heading in that direction. Who would you like to thank for this weekend?
Dan Holland Racing, my mechanic Alfie, all my family, and Time Racing Engines as well.
Yeah, brilliant. They got it tuned up well for you. We'll let you go and finish off the scrutiny, and then huge congratulations, Kai. First place on the weekend. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Tristan, really well done to you, mate. Kai got himself off and away down the road, and the gap was just a little bit too large to close, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just too much of a gap to catch up to. We overtook second, and he was just gone. We just couldn't catch up.
But you did really well, and obviously this is a circuit you know well.
People say that, but we haven't been here since the last round 2 years ago.
Really? Well, I apologise for my lack of knowledge. The accent was fooling me there. But getting the measure up this weekend, though, in the wet, the weather really played its hand this weekend, didn't it?
Yeah, we struggled with setup, and it was changing in every single session, different setup. So we were lucky to have a good one for this one, and really got us to second, so it was very good.
And what we saw in the Super and then again in the Super Final, I think the key to this weekend was staying out of trouble off the start and in those opening couple of laps. And if you could do that, then you might find some clear road, and you did.
Yeah, we were lucky to be fifth, and we're on the inside of the start, so we were clean at the start and kind of got away with the front two, and just from there, it was us two, and that was the race really.
Huge congratulations, third place on the day, but a tough race out there in tricky conditions.
Yeah, very tricky conditions. It's one of them type of conditions that I've always loved. Been at it long enough now, 18 years, so it's one of them when the experience counts. I think you just have to keep your head and don't push too hard, you know, and don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, and it would have been easy to do something stupid when it was wet today. And actually, as your race went on there, it was like the track was drying out, but with a couple of laps to go, suddenly the heavens opened again.
Yeah, it dried out midway through, so we started taking different lines, trying to find the grip, etc. And then it started to bail down last 3-4 laps. So it's just a gamble in them conditions with the pressures, the setup, everything, you know. So I'm happy with the result. It's good points for the championship, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, it really is. The bigger term, the longer term picture obviously is the next round at Ward and Law, and now excited and looking forward to going there?
Yeah, really excited to go there because I've not been there since 2009, so it's been a long time, so nice to go back there.
Well, that's it for our first instalment of action from Larkhall, and huge congratulations to the winners in those classes. Dan Kilpatrick in the Minimax, then Kai Hunter getting yourself a win this time out in senior Rotax by quite some margin as well. Well done to you, sir. But honourable mention must go this round to our Micromax winner, Kian Bernard. What a racer. What a great weekend he's had, because he only started karting just a couple of years ago, and already he's making a name for himself. So well done on your first UKC win. Next time you join us, we'll be still here at Larkhall for our second highlights programme with 3 more super finals to bring you. So please do join us then. But for now, from myself, Kev Harris, and all of the team, see ya.